Welcome to I Heart Geek.
Are you having a stroke? Do you need us to call the doctor?
Too many late nights with the baby, I guess.
Little baby.
Oh, wow.
Little dingling baby.
Nice.
I love that. I love the sleeping picture you posted where he's got like his arms thrown back.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
I'm like, nice.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek.
Woo!
We even got some lead in today, so this is fun.
Talking about babies.
Little baby.
Yeah, you notice there's more of us on the actually, no, there's no more of us on screen. It's kind of normal. It's the three of us today because
Yeah.
I think Jason's in California today. Something
Is
like
he?
that. I think so. Or is it next week?
I don't know.
know, but yeah.
No
'Cause this-
Jason, no
Hi,
Carl,
Jason.
no Pixie.
No anybody, just
Just
us.
Just us.
Just us. It's been a lot of us lately. So yeah.
I miss us, man.
So I am Dub and I'm your producer and not writer today. I will not take blame for that one. And
Ha.
yeah, and because we do record this alone, we don't have to practice social distancing. So here I can touch Bly's here and I can
Don't touch me.
I can pat
Stop it.
Courtney on the head. There
Stop
you
it.
go.
I don't know if I'm hitting you, but stop.
Yeah.
Stop
And
touching
we don't
me.
have to wear masks, but
On my screen, Blythe is hitting the air, and you're smacking me when you said you're smacking Blythe.
no, I was smacking Bly's when I said I was smacking Bly's. And mine's the one that gets recorded.
Yours counts.
Mine counts. And I'm patting you on the head right now. How cute. Aw. Wow, this could be like its own episode is, hey, let's play with the Zoom today.
Let's just play with the Zoom today.
Let's not waste anybody's time on this.
I'm in a box. This is me in a nutshell. I'm in a nutshell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went Austin Powers on that. You're welcome.
Yeah, you
We're
did.
all fired. Yeah, okay, so let's finish introducing everybody. We'll talk about everything. Okay, and to my top left, we have our good buddy, Mr. Blythe. How is life there, little papa?
What's up, everybody? Life is good, man. The baby's doing real good. He's getting big fast. But yeah, just a couple, not sleepless nights, but interrupted sleepless nights, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm Blythe. I'm your tech guy and the writer of this episode. So
Woohoo.
if you don't like it, I won't do it again, and Dub can do all the work.
Yeah, no, everybody loves it, Blythe. This is the best episode ever written.
I reserve judgment.
Yes, and this is literally the quickest to come together show ever. We got our
Right.
script half an hour ago.
You're welcome.
Hey, we want to get content out. We're going to get content out. And below me, that's chugging her coffee with literally cheeks full of coffee right now. I hope she doesn't go,
Oh, yeah.
that'd be amazing on the computer. We have Miss Geeky Page herself, Courtney. How are you doing, kiddo?
I'm good. I'm glad it's the weekend.
There's weekend still?
For us normal folk, yes.
Yeah, like time is a weird concept at this point. But let me just say, I'm glad I'm not working because, I'm still working from home. So sitting in front of the computer talking to you guys is so much more fun than sitting in front of the computer doing my work.
We made the list of better than, soul-sucking labor.
It's not it's not really labor because I sit on my butt all day and type on the computer, but meh,
Meh.
eh,
It is what it is.
eh.
So today we are discussing masks, and this is masks. We are going to stay away from political argument completely. We're going to stay away from the argument completely. It's
So nice you had to say it twice.
I can debate either side of this and piss everybody off. So yeah, we're good. If you want to wear a mask, you should wear a mask.
Yep.
And I'll leave it at that. That's all we're doing. Okay, but so we're going to talk because we take everything into the geek world. We're going to be discussing geeks and masks. So yeah, yeah, and they used to look like this.
Can
and
we
now
all
for
do
some
this?
reason,
I don't think I could do it. I'm not.
I gotta take my glasses off.
I'd have to take off the
I
headphones.
used to be able to do
I
it.
can do the upside ones.
Yeah.
Mine's like the ones on Starfire. That's Starfire.
Yeah,
right there.
Dazzler.
Oh, do I get the roller skates though? That's the question.
Yes.
How did we forget about Dazzler?
I know. I feel very sad right now because I just thought of her and I'm like, dang it, Dazzler!
Everyone should forget about Dazzler.
Dazzler needs her own TV show just for the sheer camp value.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
she
no.
does not.
They need to remake Dazzler as Batman 66.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be-
think
that'd be
That
cool.
kind of camp.
Or
I think-
Batman 77 or Wonder Woman 77. Have you
Mm,
seen that one?
Yeah, but I'd still say
Kathy Lee
66.
Crosby's the bad guy. And
Oh,
for
the
all
blonde Wonder Woman you're talking. Oh, yeah, that was
Yes!
terrible.
Yeah, but they
Oh.
use her as the bad guy in Wonder Woman 77, the graphic novel.
Okay. So let me ask you guys this question. Do you prefer your superheroes to put on a mask when they become the superhero? Or do you like it when they wear glasses and then take them off and magically you don't know who they are?
I think I don't know. We've been so ingrained to having superheroes and masks that I think for the most part we just go along with it, but it's so crazy. I think I prefer the mask because at least the mask is a mask. It's not just glasses.
Yeah, because for some reason I think Courtney can take off her glasses and I recognize her 100% of the time.
I still
Who are you?
look
Who are
like
you?
me.
What?
Get outta here.
I still look like me.
She's another person.
She's
again.
back. Is this your
Yeah.
Is this you as a superhero or you as a non-superhero?
I think
No, the
probably
glasses
with my
is the
glasses
secret identity.
for
Oh, yeah.
superheroes. For
yes,
me,
'cause
though,
glasses
I
make
feel
you
like.
weak. That was the
Yes,
point of all
exactly.
that. 4 eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna get sand kicked in your face there, guy.
Well, and I mean, and that's you hit on it right. That's exactly why Wonder Woman wears glasses when she's Diana Prince.
Mhm.
I mean, not in the newest incarnation, but when she was originally created, because it was the 40s. So what the thought was that she was this beautiful woman as Wonder Woman. So they put her hair in a bun and they put glasses on her to frump her up, because that magically made her not look like Linda Carter or Gail Gadot. Just
Is
by
that what
throwing
it
some
is?
glasses on her. That's exactly what it is, because hers was in the 40s. And so a woman with glasses
Frumpy.
and her hair in the back, hair in a bun,
Which she was hotter, by the way.
which
I'll leave
was
that alone.
considered frumpy.
Yeah.
So same thing with Superman. The
Yeah.
glasses were a sign of him like being a
A weakling.
nerd.
A weakling,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a weakling.
This reminds me. Do you guys remember the movie 10 Things I Hate About You?
I mean, yeah, when I
Vaguely.
was a teenager.
Or it's not the 10 Things. It was the spoof on it. The Not Another Teen movie.
Oh yeah.
Because
That's a
it
good
goes,
one.
oh, we can't pick her. She's got glasses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's
ponytail.
paint on her
that's
overalls.
that's the joke. But it's like magically you put on a pair of glasses and you're not Linda Carter or Gail Gadot. You're not this
Let me try
stunning
something.
woman. You don't look. Now, what I always thought was really cool is, and you can watch it if you watch the first two Superman movie with Chris Reeves in it.
Yeah.
His was more than just the glasses when he went into Clark Kent. I mean, you can see it at one point in time. There's a clip especially where he's got the glasses on and it's in his whole body. So he used his whole body. Not a lot of the actors who do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, and
The good
Lois
ones
is
do.
the reason I remember is like there was Lois is in the other room because they're getting to go out or something, and he's thinking about telling her, and he literally takes the glasses off and then just brings him up to his full Superman. So all of a sudden he transforms himself, and then she comes back in the room and he puts him back on again real fast so she can't see, and he does physically. I mean, he still looks like Christopher Reeves, like a dork, but he physically changes his
I'm having so
stance
much
and
fun on
everything.
video today.
Yeah,
I know, it's so fun.
Which
But
makes
it
sense.
doesn't
That's-
happen all the time.
No, that's a great way to portray that.
They-
That it's not just the glasses; it's how you hold yourself. Like,
They made it make
Yeah.
sense.
yeah,
Yeah, he did.
Superman
He
holds
said this-
himself up, and Clark Kent wouldn't, because Clark Kent is meek and just a weaker man.
Yeah, he literally. I always thought that was one of the coolest parts was he made it so that body wise and physicality wise he was almost a different person. So you could kind of sort of buy that they wouldn't connect the two,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
despite looking like him.
the psychology on this, that's actually kind of interesting because this is something that just kind of dawned on me. I don't know if you guys noticed, but people know, and everyone's wearing their masks, it takes you a second, like, oh yeah, that's you. But if somebody is just somebody you see all the time and they're wearing the mask, It just doesn't register who they are.
Mm.
So that's why they wanted to make that quote unquote nerdy
Mhm.
alter ego, because you don't notice them. You see them in passing all the time. You don't have a relationship.
Mhm.
So, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But if you know them, I mean, like Lois should have known Superman. I mean, duh.
Right.
I mean, she couldn't have looked past him that much working together. But I think that's kind of the psychology behind it. Is you don't. I mean, look around at people you know when they wear their mask, and people you see, and
Yeah.
you'll see they're like, oh, maybe I don't recognize them.
Mhm.
I mean, if you look hard enough, you could figure it out, but it's just the quick looks.
Yeah. I think we just settled a decades-long debate on the whole glasses issue. You're welcome.
And that's a show, guys. That's
You're welcome,
geek
nerds.
Community, we did it. We solved it
That
here.
was for you.
Yep.
So let's actually start off. Let's talk about the ridiculousness of the mask thing. Without that fantastic explanation that I just blew all your minds
Completely
with.
lost.
Yeah. Let's talk about kind of the ridiculousness. And I think the best one that ever poked fun at that was Green Lantern. You know, that Emmy-worthy movie.
Oh, sheesh.
Wanted to be good so bad. Anyway, and she goes, why wouldn't I recognize you? What, you hide your cheekbones so I don't know who you are? I've known you since you were 6. And I thought that was like the greatest joke.
Yeah. That's a super good call out to all of it, because it is ridiculous that, especially those types of heroes, like, I think it's more heavily in the DC universe where they just have the band around their eyes.
Yeah.
Arrow has
There's
it.
a lot of that.
Lantern has it. Like, a lot of those, even some, I mean, I guess the Flash is more of a cowl.
The Flash,
yeah, I mean, well, the Flash, the Flash
Batman,
comes like here. Batwoman, but I mean, she's also got the. If we're talking Arrow was Batwoman, but she's got the red wig, which changes the look completely.
Any of the heroes that have just the band across their eyes, like, who you fooling? It's the whole glasses argument.
We can talk the evolution of that, because I mean, originally, most of them had the little band, and then second generation had more of the half face with the hole in the mouth, and then you look in the future, you got Batman Beyond, and that's a full face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
so
that
like
was a proper mask. Like, that's a proper secret identity hiding mask. Is a full face, Spider-Man, Batman Beyond, those type masks, as opposed to the little baby masks.
I think you'd have to say probably Batman and Spider-Man, just off the top of my head. I know there's many, many more, but those, like Batman, it's literally this.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is different. So I can see why nobody recognizes him.
The voice,
and then
everything, yeah.
Spider-Man is completely covered too. So you could get that people wouldn't make the connection there.
Yeah.
Either. Those are the ones that I can think of right now that have just partial or
yeah. Well, Captain America's a pretty good one too.
Yeah, his is. But everybody knows who
secret.
Captain America is, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's not one that gets. He doesn't really pretend to be someone other than Steve Rogers.
But then you go back to the original Thor when he was also David Blake, I think.
David Blake, yeah.
So yeah, he had an entirely different face. Donald Blake. He had an entirely different face.
That's right, Donald Blake.
I'm shining.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he
that's taking masks to a whole different genre.
Well, and when Jane Porter took over in that recent run, hers was from
Jane Foster,
here up. Jane Foster, that's right. I always said Porter. Sorry, thank you. Oh.
You're supposed to be the expert on all things girl. You have let every female that listens to the show down.
I know, I'm so sorry.
You owe them all an apology.
So
Jane Foster, I don't know where I got Porter from, but yeah, hers was
from the nose up. Yeah.
From the nose up with the wings, the Viking wings.
Because they wanted to hide her.
They wanted to hide, because for a good portion of the run, we didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just Lady Thor.
She was just Lady Thor. And it wasn't until, I want to say, like halfway through the book that everybody figured out. They told us who she was and what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
which will be interesting. I wonder if they do that in the movie. When they
we know that Natalie Portman, that's probably why I said Porter, because I was probably mixing up Foster and Portman. We know Natalie Portman is going to be Lady Thor.
Please, God, no.
I don't know how that's
that's
going to be
confirmed.
possible. Like, she's 90
She's so
pounds,
terrible.
5 feet tall.
I say this has nothing to do with the character. It has to do with her. She is she's like Batwoman bad.
The only
Just
thing,
terrible.
well, I think part of that problem, and this is we're going to go off on a tangent, but
We do that
not
from time
talking
to time.
about
It's
Max.
okay.
But I think part of her problem, not that I'm excusing her performance because she is a good actress in my opinion, but her performance in Thor is pretty bad. And 2
She's
was
so wooden.
well, she didn't want to be there. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Is like she accepted the role because she says she accepted the role because Patty Jenkins was originally supposed to direct Thor.
Yep.
And she wanted to work with Patty Jenkins.
It's
I
called
think
being a
she-
professional.
I think she also wanted some Marvel money, but that's just me. And then Patty Jenkins was either let go. I don't remember the whole thing. And then Kenneth Branagh came in.
And let's
And
be
in my
honest, that
opinion-
was a good choice. Branagh was
Well,
perfect for Thor.
The thing
the
is
character.
Kenneth Branagh is an amazing director too. So yeah, you want to work with Patty Jenkins, who's a great director.
But you're not taking a step down.
Right? It's not like they picked some Joe Schmo off the street and said, "Here, direct Thor." They
Yeah.
gave you Kenneth Branagh, and I think she phoned
Mm-hmm.
all
of it in.
And they
For the
kept bringing her
Marvel
back.
money.
I'm like, and then they finally just less and less and less done.
Well, she was in 1 and 2 because 2 was in her contract. But then she started bad-mouthing Marvel about how terrible it is. Her and Idris Elba are out there, how terrible it is to work, blah, 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 blah. And that's why she got cut from the third one
next.
completely.
And I don't think we should get another chance, be honest with you.
Well, and now she came back going, "Oh, I love working with Marvel," and now she's back as Lady Thor. So I have thoughts. As you can tell, sorry listeners about the tangent I just went on. Let's talk about masks instead of Lady Thor, because I could talk about Lady Thor for another hour and a half.
Yeah, just real quick though, I think I agree with Courtney too. I don't think Natalie Portman's a bad actress. I think that she just has to care about the project she's working on. And I think the way that Taika Waititi took Ragnarok, and if that's the direction we're going with the Thor movies, I think that she's going to do fine.
She's
I
not
think
funny. That's the problem. She is not a humorous bone in her body, and that's where the Thor direction is going. Is definitely a lot.
Yeah, but
of
I think
comedy
she's
not funny.
We'll see. I think she'll do fine.
I think Taika is a good enough director, and he understands comedy really well, as we've seen from Ragnarok and from Jojo Rabbit, which is not haha funny, but it's pretty irreverent funny. And then What We Do in the Shadows, which makes fun of all of our. I mean, he's really good. I think even if he can't get her to be funny, I have enough.
She has to be the straight man, but that's
yeah. I have enough. I have enough faith in Taika Waititi, and I have enough faith in Chris Hemsworth to be able to do comedy, because we've seen
he's funny.
Well, and his whole Fat Thor in Endgame is the funniest thing in Endgame.
That helped make the movie at least watchable. Right.
Thor Lebowski. So
no anger on that?
Don't. We're supposed to. All right, now we're getting off the tangent. You're about to blow me up.
Get him, guys. Get him, guys.
I'll get it down and I'll snap. I will get you out of here.
I get to live, right? I get to survive the snap.
You're fine, Courtney. You're fine. I'll snap him out.
Oh, I don't think he has control of that.
No, I'm gonna get it.
Oh, okay. Get on it, baby. Okay, so let's get back to the mask thing. Now, when does it? We've talked about the ridiculousness of it. Do you, as a comic reader, geek movie watcher, does it take you out of it, or do you suspend reality and that's just like, you know what? That's just the way it is, and you don't even think about it. I don't think about it because, unless I'm having a discussion like this, I don't care. I watch these things to escape. I don't look for all the stupidity and all that because that's part of the joy of it is, well, you can pick this apart, but it's so not realistic that I can enjoy this more.
Yeah.
So I don't know how y'all feel on that.
I think that I don't generally look for it. If it's just there, then fine. It's a superhero, whatever. It's when they start doing plot points that are like, who is this person? Who's this character? Who could it be? Like they start going like really into like trying to figure out who the person is. Like just analyze the bottom half of their face. Yeah, just look at the bottom half of their face, and you'll figure it out.
Right.
Like it's not enough to do an entire like side story on or something like that. That's when it takes me out of it. Like it's just a superhero thing. Like quit making me focus on it because I'm focusing on how dumb you people are.
So basically, what you're saying is, as long as it's not mentioned, you don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of where I sit. I like.
Yeah.
I can completely suspend reality. What about you, Courtney?
I'm like you. I don't really notice it because like I don't question why Superman can fly, so I don't quite really question why he puts glasses on one minute and takes them off another. You know, I don't question. I believe that the Flash is the fastest man alive. So I mean,
Depends on which Flash you're referring to.
True.
Actually,
very on. So yeah, I think it's just because it's
impulse.
I think because it's part of the iconography.
Mm-hmm.
You just accept
it.
Is. Yeah, you just accept it as well. Wonder Woman has to put on glasses when she's being Diana Prince, although she doesn't have a secret identity anymore in the comic books. But you just accept Oliver Queen has to put a mask and a hood on when he's...
Even though he has that wicked goatee that only he has.
Right.
And he's a billionaire and on TV every night.
Right. But yeah, you just... It's just like a cape or a cowl or a shield. It's just part of who they are. So I think you just accept it.
Is it fun for you guys to debate this kind of stuff? Or is this kind of like, are you over it as comic book fans?
No, I like it.
I like it. I like a good debate. Superman can fly because he can manipulate the gravitron particles in an unknown, apparently unconscious manner to defy the forces.
You just
of
looked that up on.
He's totally reading that off Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
No, I knew that. That's common knowledge. Knowledge. You guys.
That, and we can see the computer screen reflection.
I can see it flashing on you.
Can't see nothing.
He's got a little wider.
See anything.
Darker. Do you think it takes anybody out of it? Do you think it actually takes anybody out of it? Or is this just something because people like to debate and seem smart or whatever? Do you think that's the only reason these exist? Or do you think it's a genuine issue with people? We've discussed what we do, but let's talk the popular. You know, we have the comic geeks and the true, actually, those jerks. But we're talking like your average comic book reader. Do you think it actually bothers anybody?
I think it's like the whole Star Trek versus Star Wars thing. Like there's a niche group of people who get really mad about it. And I'm sure that's the same thing for this type of thing, where there's just a group of like diehard, like this is how it is, this is the way that it goes, and this is the only way that it needs to be. And those people are the people that super argue it. But I think for the most part, the general audience of things, they don't care. They really don't. Unless it's like some weird storyline that just doesn't make sense.
Well, I'll use my mom as an example because she doesn't read comic books. But she loves to go to the Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. So I take her to the Marvel movies. So she's what I'd say like a casual kind of superhero lover.
Like I get it.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It doesn't bother her one bit when somebody slaps a mask on because she's kind of like we are. She like accepts it as part of the iconography of the character.
Yeah.
I think another thing is a lot of us are indoctrinated in this kind of stuff when we were little. And when you're a kid, you accept anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You accept that the Giving Tree can still talk to you. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I was watching The Princess and the Frog with my nieces. There was no questioning how Tiana turned into a frog. She just accepted that she was a frog.
It's the magic. Like it's the magic of the universe.
My oldest niece is like, oh, well, they have to turn her back into human. She never questions. Well, I don't understand. That can't happen. That's not real. No, she's like, Tiana's a frog now, and we have to figure out how to save her. So I mean, So I think maybe it's the same thing with kids, because most of us, we started reading comic books and watching The Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman when we were kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's to jump back on the general audience thing and kind of like your mom, Courtney, is that the Marvel movies do a really good job of introducing these characters as people. So when you put the mask on, you know why they're putting the mask on. You know why they're doing it, because they're superheroes. And for the most part, some of them are trying to hide some sort of identity, or even if it's tactical, like Captain America. Like we said, everyone knows that Captain America is Steve Rogers. The cowl that he wears, especially in the MCU, is a type of helmet that he wears. It's a protective for him, and it has a purpose to do it. Same thing with Black Panther. Black Panther's suit is hiding his identity, but it's also completely made of vibranium, which is completely meant to protect him. So I think as things go more mainstream, you have to introduce a type of utility to it, or else it's weird.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, about probably 15, 20 years ago, Marvel shot the shot out of making masks kind of useless. And that was with the identity crisis, or the Civil War, when everyone started, everyone's got to get
registered
with the government, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I hate that storyline. Anyway,
Mutant
had this
Registration
discussion
Act?
before. Yeah.
The Mutant Registration Act, or whatever it's called.
Ridiculousness. However, Marvel did fire the first shot of saying, okay, well, masks are kind of useless. Now it's more of a fashion accessory than anything, which to me is taking kind of the mystique and the almost honor out of a mask. If someone wears a mask now, there's a few people I can think of, like in G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes. He wears a mask. He's never taken it off. It's an honor to him. But that seems like it's gone in the Marvel universe. You don't have the honor of putting it on. It's just, okay, well, you're just doing your job. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
So I think it's more of in the Marvel universe, it's more of like a secret identity thing now. Like the people because since Civil War, like they've done a lot of retconning and stuff to make sure like people forget that Spider-Man's Peter Parker and things like that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's not so much of an honorable thing. It's more of like a secret identity thing.
I prefer the honor of it.
Yeah. I know that like in the CW Arrowverse, that's an honor thing. Like they have a whole subplot about how
when you get your mask, you get your
mask. Exactly.
your whatever your uniform is going to be, or whatever character you are.
Like that means that you're a hero in the eyes of the heroes. Like it doesn't matter about the public, because to a lot of the public, you're just a vigilante doing what some people would argue isn't the best thing, but in the community of the heroes, that you're a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the Arrowverse specific, if we just look at Arrow, nobody has superpowers. Yeah. The powers didn't come, the metahumans didn't show up until they decided to create, until the Flash showed up. And now, they're integrated back and forth, but so the mask and the uniform for Arrow, for just the Arrow TV show itself, singular from the Arrowverse, they needed that to differentiate that, okay, well, now you're the hero. Because nobody has any powers. Everybody's just a vigilante.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So there's that too. And sometimes they do it in the comics and the TV show. They put a mask on for the protection of those who they loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in Spider-Man. Whenever the bad guys trying to out him.
That's the honor thing.
Yeah. Whenever they try to out him, the first thing they always say is, I know who you are, and I'm going to go after Aunt May.
Yeah.
Like, geez, she's like 90,000 years old.
Not anymore. She's Marissa Tomei now.
Yeah, now she's Marissa Tomei.
She's still old in the comics.
Yeah, she's still old.
I think she's dating Jonah Jameson's dad. So yeah, last time I got into the Spider-Man.
Yeah, I haven't been into Spider-Man comics in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Yes, our main event's going to be something different. It's who was your favorite mask characters. I want to know this: what is your favorite masks and why? I mean, you can name off as many as you want. A big one for me, actually, and this is from the Spider-Verse. I don't know if they count as masks, and that is the Venom and Carnage. Just that incredibly terrifying full face. I mean,
that's an interesting type of mask, because it's not. It's a mask, cloth. But it's a mask, but at the same time, it's a sentient entity.
Yeah.
Like it's its own thing. So no, that's a really good one to bring up, because that's super cool and different.
I'm gonna say the Phantom of the Opera.
That's actually pretty iconic.
Well, and there's been so many different versions of it. There's been in the silent film, he has a half mask. In the movie, he's got this, or not.
That's which one I like. I
The
like
musical
that.
is this side. In the Phantom of the Paradise, if anybody's seen this terrible 70s film, it comes down this way, but it has a hawk beak.
So it's one of those old, like, Victorian masks?
Sort of, because the premise of this, it's so terrible. The premise is that he writes disco music, and he has his music stolen, and I think he gets acid thrown on him. I can't remember. And so he basically...
Was it the fun kind of acid or the painful kind of acid?
So the painful kind of acid.
He's the disco Joker. Or no, disco Two-Face.
Yeah, and he covers, stuff, and he basically haunts the Paradise nightclub disco. It's so bad. Watch it. We have to do a movie night, I think.
Yeah, we got one of those.
But yeah, I mean, so there's always been that incarnation of the mask, but I think the one that's most iconic is the one from the musical where it's just this.
Yeah. Well, so that he had room
here.
to sing.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why it's there.
Exactly.
But I always thought that was a really cool looking, most of the, cool good guys, bad guys that we see, the like kind of quote unquote cosplay, like wrestlers like Sting and The Undertaker, they basically are using that Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
So that is so iconic. I'm glad you said it, because that narrows down into everything.
What's really cool in the stage show, it's depending on the actor, it's bright white, and they light it just right so it almost glows. When they have a person of color play, it's a pale blue, so it really contrasts. They change it out depending on the actor, and it really contrasts with the actor. But
isn't that a makeup artist's job?
No, that's the lighting designer. But what's cool is like whatever the material they use, because I don't know what it is. When they light it, the thing just glows on stage, so it's like extra creepy factor. Which doesn't translate into the movie version
at all. Well, I just kept expecting the movie version to say freedom. No, I'm sorry. Or this is Sparta. Yeah, that's what you want.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so what are some other ones you guys got?
So one that I'm kind of mad at you, Dub, because I set you up with this in my script was Loki's mask from the movie Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, that's really good.
You know what? That was good enough. Would you like to tell everybody who we're brought today by?
This episode of iHeartGeek is brought to you by Loki's Mask Factory. It's smoking. That was such a good movie. I mean, I haven't seen it in a few years now. I wonder if it still holds up, but I love that movie growing up. Like, it was just fun. It was one of those movies that I watched when I was a kid but didn't really understand the plot of the movie until I was older, because you didn't need it. Like, Jim Carrey was so fun in that. The effects of the mask and everything that he did was so fun. You could watch it as a kid and just concentrate on that. You don't have to worry about the overarching story. Yeah. But yeah, that was, I think, a great use of a mask in a film.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't. It's up to you if you want to say makeup is a mask or not. I'm going to say it is, and I have two great examples. And one of them is The Crow. That was, as far as a non-mask mask, the coolest. It was so cool, and something that every guy of my age, when we did it all, we all wore it for Halloween, and it was so easy to duplicate, but so just something about it was just so, it just catches you. Almost to at an emotional level, or like primal level. It, for some reason, it connects with people. And
I think that was just a weird grungy era of human history.
The best era?
No.
Gen Xers forever, baby.
Oh boy.
And then on the other side, the next, and that is the rock stars, which, say what you want about the band, they're buttholes, to say the least. Well, some of them are not very nice people, but talk about an iconic image of Kiss.
Oh yeah.
The makeup, they all had their own
Yeah.
characters, and it was always the same for that character.
Yeah.
And you could look at their quote unquote makeup mask, and you know kind of what they're about. Gene Simmons is the demon. You get that from his makeup. Peter Criss was the cat, had the little cat things. Paul Stanley was Spaceman, and he had the star, and just so very, very iconic. And it was marketing gone right, because that's everything the Kiss ever did.
Yeah.
But tell you, I mean, you see those masks, and you like that band might be a 3, but suddenly they're a 7, no matter what your thoughts are. Because I was like, that's really cool, and it's a mask.
Well, on the other end of that, what about Ghost? With the nameless ghoul masks and Papa Emeritus, Papa Nihil.
Like Misfits and
kind
of that same thing. Well, talk about rock bands, and I can't believe this wasn't mentioned earlier, Gwar.
I was thinking about them.
Well, let's not bring up Gwar in this family-friendly podcast.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
we don't need listeners going and looking up who Gwar is.
Oh, you should definitely look up who Gwar is.
Gwar.
For the listeners who watched Eurovision, which I did the reaction video on, there is a band in the Eurovision competition that's very much a send-up of Gwar.
They weren't as good.
So, no, but I mean, you got it right away. You got the reference right away. I don't know if you watched it or not, but yeah. So that if you've seen Eurovision, the guy with the horns and the weird clown bassist and the drummer, that's a send-up of Gwar. So if you don't want to look up the actual band Gwar, you do. There you go.
You so
too much.
I think anybody on this that listens to us that's over the age of say 15 has probably listened to Gwar at some point.
Some point in time.
Doesn't mean it's a right thing.
And really, you're worried about Gwar, and I made a Ghost reference, which, by the way, family-friendly people, don't look up Ghost.
Just stay off the internet in general.
Don't take our musical suggestions for this.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Just watch our geek movies we've talked about.
Now, there's 2 characters that I know others have done it, but there's only 2 I can think of that have done it with their masks, which I think is really cool, and that's Deadpool and Rorschach. And you see them whenever they eat, they pull their mask up to here. I guess Spider-Man did that for the Kiss too. But they pull their mask up and eat. And I don't know why, but I always thought that was kind of the coolest. This is a mask. They can't just, put things. I thought that was a really cool way of differentiating the mask. If you're the mask, you are an ideal. And you don't have to eat or anything else. So you have to actually pull that ideal away in order for this very carnal eating, being a person. Yeah. I don't know if that was intentional, if I'm just reading into it.
No, I think that's one of those cool little details that you don't really think of, especially if you're reading a character for a good amount of time. You look at this character, and this is how you view this character, and then they just do a scene where they're sitting down to eat, and then they have to pull it up, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a guy in a mask. You just don't realize it until it happens.
Yeah, interesting thought. Okay, let's actually we're kind of going a while. Let's move on to our main event.
Now it's time for the main event.
Okay, so for today's main event, we are discussing our top 5-ish favorite masked characters. These are different, I guess you could say. Well, why I say that is it's not necessarily the mask that makes them cool, and it's not the character that makes cool, it's the combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's some that we're going to discuss with everybody else's, and the evolution of their masks are so cool. So that makes the character better, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're all over the board is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we are.
I would like to say before we start this that helmets do not count.
No, helmets
Your
do
world.
Count. Absolutely, they do count. But there was a caveat to that.
I'm not giving up my number 1.
They count as long as they cover the full face.
No half helmets.
No Judge Dredd.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that. That's a good one.
I didn't
You're
even think
welcome,
of Dread
kids.
either. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's great.
Man, I wish we would have had time to do a listener feedback on this. I would love to hear. You
I
know
would
what?
love to hear
Everybody that's
everybody's-
listening on YouTube or on
Facebook.
on Facebook or whatever,
Mhm.
tell us some of your
Comments.
favorite masks, your favorite mask characters,
Please
Yeah, show us in the
do.
comments, guys, what you think.
and like.
Please
By
do.
the way,
Yep, like,
And
subscribe, do
subscribe.
all that good stuff.
Please,
We
please,
really
please.
appreciate it,
and
guys.
our Patreon will be coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yes,
Yay!
So there's going to be
And we'll have a
nice, fun
fresh new
stuff for you
website
guys.
pretty soon too.
yes.
Yep,
All
yep, yep.
good things coming, guys.
Okay, so for my number 5, because if there's a chance for me to put this on a list, I will always put it on the list, and that is Green Lantern. Now, Green Lantern is a very cool case because although Hal Jordan is my favorite mask character ever, I don't really like his mask at all. However, you keep going down the Green Lantern universe, and like Simon Baz has a really cool, almost Spider-Man, Batman type mask. Kyle Rayner has like a 3/4 face mask, and it's kind of cool looking. It changes a lot, depends on how he wants his ring joke because he's an artist. And then you have like John and Guy who don't wear a mask at all. Because let's be honest, who's going to recognize you? You're in freaking space. Making the mask kind of stupid for a Green Lantern.
And then you have Ryan Reynolds, who has a completely CG mask.
That was one of the worst things ever.
Don't make these uniform green or animated.
Stop making me sad, please. You're making me sad again.
That's gonna be one of the best lines in Deadpool.
The best movie you've ever gotten.
Okay, just move on.
Just let him go.
I'm sad now.
Deadpool loves you.
Oh, somebody does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Courtney, go ahead. What is your number 5?
My number 5 is a twofer, but just because they're
Okay,
the team.
Okay, PB.
No, well, it's because they're the team. So it's the Green Hornet and Kato.
Okay, very cool.
Yep. that's a
Kato's
good one.
was basically
It's
Zorro's.
just the little, yeah, it's
Zorro.
just the little mask.
When he wore the hat, it was Zorro.
Right, like you're not gonna recognize the limo driver from previously just because he puts a mask on.
The only guy of Asian descent in like that entire universe.
Right. Like you're not gonna recognize Bruce Lee from the TV show because they put a mask on Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I like the Green Hornet because he's got it's almost like a half mask because it's under. He wears the hat, the fedora, and then it's green. So
it's very iconic for the time, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and like if you see a guy with a green fedora and a green mask, if you're a comic book person, you're gonna instantly go, "Oh, you're the Green Lantern."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I kind of piggyback on
You're
that?
Green
Because
Hornet.
in that same era was the Shadow, and he was kind of the reverse of that because he just wore his collar way up here all the time. Oh,
He was the original popped collar hero.
yeah. Okay, let's come back to that.
I'll talk about him a little bit later.
I am so sorry.
You know he's my favorite. It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
We can talk about him now if we want to.
Yeah, no, we'll get back to him later. I feel so guilty right now.
No, it's okay.
Lies, what is your number 5? sir?
My number 5 is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. After I
one?
made my helmet comment, the
Thought
first
you
one,
said we couldn't
First-
have helmet.
the first generation. That's the only generation that matters. But those were so cool growing up because, again, they were tactical, and if you really look at they put detail into the helmets. They weren't just like colored helmets. Each one looked like the dinosaur that they.
So that you're not talking about the first one then?
No, I am. The
No,
first
that wasn't
one.
The first ones.
The first
ones were
US one. Yes.
Voltron with a different name.
Yeah, because no, I'm talking the ones with the pink Power Ranger, which was Amy Jo Johnson, who was
Yeah, that was the Mighty Morphin Power
They
Rangers.
didn't do dinosaurs.
Yes, they did.
They did.
Are you trying to argue with me, a guy who was a kid in the 90s, who the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were?
I used to go. Yeah, I'm not going to mention what we did, but we would go to somebody's house and then we would do something, and then we would watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah,
after
so
school.
I think I know what you're
we really trust your judgment on what the costumes look
I
like.
even learned how to play the whole guitar solo on. Yeah.
But yeah, they were dinosaurs. So you had the Red Ranger, and around his goggles were the teeth, and then you had Pink Ranger had like the beak on it. The Mastodon had the horns on the side. Yes. Why are you?
No, that wasn't.
100% was.
It was a later incarnation. That wasn't the
No, it
original
wasn't.
incarnation.
No, I can show you episode 1 of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We will do this. We're gonna film it.
Okay.
We're gonna film it. I'm gonna show it to you, and then we're gonna put it on YouTube because you, sir, are wrong.
Well, you may think so. You know what? After this episode, we're going to immediately film another thing with just me and you, and we'll discuss that for a second.
Sounds good.
Because Courtney has to go to her class to be better than us now. So it's one of those things. Okay, so did I get everybody? Yes. Okay,
Yes.
My number 4, I'm going to do a twofer, and that would be out of the Marvel and DC universe. We have Batman, who's just the most iconic mask ever, kind of.
Yeah.
And Wolverine, who actually had a very similar mask with the
The
it covered his hair.
Yes, the pointed ears. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
But
Old
honest-
school.
And just like those characters, the longer it goes in history, you see the ears go higher on some genres and then goes down, and they were kept copying each other, honestly, because you can see about the same time they're always pretty close to the same. But both characters are very similar to the same character. Wolverine is Batman without the money, and Batman is Wolverine without the with powers.
I don't know about that. That's a debate for another episode, but
Yeah, we're going a little long, but but those two characters, and I wanted to just be able to get them in, so that's why I did say both of them. Not that they really have that much in common, but I couldn't let either of those sit anywhere. Okay, so you're number 4, Courtney.
The Dread Pirate Roberts from The Princess Bride. Because everybody loves
that
Dread
gets mentioned
Pirate
on
Robert.
almost every episode of the show.
Well, it's a really big part of our nerdy universe.
It
so
is.
still never seen it.
you should. It's really
can we
good.
do that
I've
as a
always
movie
heard
night?
that I should. I just have never.
That's a movie.
At
That's our
least-
movie night. Yeah.
At least see it once.
Yeah,
If
I
you-
should definitely see it so then I can just.
And Tara will be so happy with you
So I
if you
can
watch it
just
with her.
destroy it, just completely tear it.
You can try,
Oh, I will.
but Andre the
Definitely.
Giant is in it, and you can't.
It's
doesn't
literally
mean
one of the
nothing.
most
That guy, didn't he die in the ring like a busta?
No.
literally
He
one
did
of
die,
the
though.
most perfect films ever created.
That's
Like
what I've
it
always
or
heard.
hate it, but it's literally one of the most perfect films ever created.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard. Just never given it the time.
Okay, so what is your number 4 there, Wise?
My number 4 is, and we touched on this, so I won't go too long into it. The Arrowverse, just because of the ridiculousness of that.
Talk about taking it all.
Yeah, that whole thing. Like,
I hate
They-
the rubber masks.
yeah, they rubber mat. Well, at the beginning, he was just using like grease paint. So
Yeah,
it
that-
was
Yeah,
I
and
was
he had
better with
green
grease. Yeah,
Yeah, I was better with
football
that.
grease paint. Yeah.
and then the Flash was like, "You need a real mask," and then he gives him that little rubber mask around his thing, and they go into it too. Like, who is the Green Arrow? It's Oliver Queen. Like, I get that you guys think
Yeah,
that
'cause
he's
he's
dead,
put just a
but you
cowl over his
can
face.
see it. Like yeah.
I mean, the guy is a freaking celebrity. Almost everybody that's in this team is a freaking celebrity. How would you not know who they are?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, okay, but I get what you're saying. That is definitely a suspend reality type moment,
Mhm.
but I can suspend reality on it. But the more I think about it, the more angry I get on it.
I think,
'Cause
and
they look
again,
so
it was
cheap.
like, well, so like what I said earlier, if they didn't go into an entire season about like trying to figure out who these people were, even though like you can clearly tell who they are,
No one
wouldn't
would
be as
care.
bothered by it. But they like a whole plot is just completely taken around it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so we're on to number 3. And this one's going to be pretty different because this is the literal opposite you can get to a mask. And that is Ghost Rider, because he actually takes his whole face off and it's a flaming skull.
Yeah.
But it's I count it as a mask because it's completely unrecognizable. But
All
about
the Ghost Riders or just Johnny Blaze?
Johnny Blade's the only one I like. I don't like the other ones so much.
The new
Don't mess
guy?
I
with
don't-
Dub's original content. If you tried to stray away from the source material, Dub wants absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but there's multiple Ghost Riders. It's just
That's
Johnny
what-
Blaze
I
is the
know.
We're
first
talking
one.
Johnny Blaze.
I know, Courtney.
Maybe, maybe with the Catch, Danny Ketch, but that's really where I was done.
Gotcha.
I don't like the Ghost Rider now rides a car. I'm like, no, we're done.
What? It's the guy.
Done.
The other guy rides a motorcycle. What's the difference between a car and
Yeah,
a
but it's-
motorcycle?
But it's
That's
cooler
what-
if
that
you're
was
riding a
the draw.
flaming
It's
motorcycle.
cooler if there's no doors on it. If there's no
No,
doors, it's so much cooler.
It looks cooler if it's a
Get outta
flaming
here.
motorcycle
Oh
than if
my
it's a
God.
flaming car.
If Ghost Rider, when I was a kid and he was driving a car, I would have had no interest in the character.
I
It's
think
that
that's
motorcycle that was
I don't
just
think
so.
so.
It's
I
that
think if
evil,
the
it's that
original-
evil Knievel feel to it.
I think if the original Ghost Rider had a car,
The original
and
Ghost
that's
Rider
how
had
you
a-
read him growing up, and then they switched him to a motorcycle, you'd be like, this is stupid. Why does he have
Yeah,
a
the-
motorcycle? He's
the
always had a
original-
car.
Have
the
you ever
original
read
Ghost Rider rode a horse.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. What the,
I know, you just being cartoony. I actually, don't judge me, but I literally watched the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie like last week for the first time in a really long
They're
time.
not as horrible as
It's
we like.
not as
It's
bad as
fun.
I remember.
It's fun.
It's
It's
fun.
not a gem of cinema by any
No.
means, but it's a fun movie to watch.
It is
And I
better than
realized,
the Fantastic Four.
yeah,
Yes.
I realized that I really like the Ghost Rider special effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
it looks great.
with the,
I
with
mean,
the
for
cool
the time, yeah.
motorcycle and the
That's
flaming
his
skull,
mask,
and
it's just cool.
I loved Sam Elliott as the original Ghost Rider.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott's
Yeah,
good in anything.
I was watching it going, this is not as bad as I remember it. This is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
So there's
Fair
my
enough.
Ghost Rider thing.
And well, here's a little bit of trivia. That's actually a CAT scan on the movie. It's actually a CAT scan of
Nicolas Cage's skull.
The skull?
That's his real
Oh, that's
skull.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah,
Good for
no,
them.
but going back with the motorcycle thing, I think the motorcycle is the iconic thing. I would not have cared about Ghost Rider. I mean, yeah, I guess he'd look cool and I would have forgotten about him. But the motorcycle, sort of like Lobo, honestly, as cool of a character as he is, if he wasn't riding that space motorcycle when I was a kid, he doesn't ride it anymore. But when I was a kid and I saw him riding that, that's what made me want to watch the character.
And I think he rides a motorcycle because,
Just like a horse.
yeah, exactly. It's the modern day equivalent of a horse because he's
Yeah.
like a modern day cowboy, Texas Ranger kind of thing.
Mm.
And so putting him in a car, it kind of loses that outlaw feel.
It's not Fast and Furious.
Right. Plus, it's easier for him to hop off of a motorcycle to grab the bad guy than it is to, here, let me open the door and get
Not
out
if
of the car.
Not if it's a convertible.
It's not.
Then
It's
his
not Dukes of
flames could,
Hazzard.
then his flames
He's not
could
he's not
breeze in the
hood
wind.
sliding like the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, just put him in the General Lee. Is that enough of a...
You know,
Yeah, but the General Lee's doors don't open.
you
Yeah,
have
he just
said
pops
wrong
through the
things
windows.
before. Well, as you've said wrong things before, and I think this is about the wrongest of everything you said a lot of wrong things. In
You've
fact,
been wrong, but you have never been so wrong.
I mean, I'm not
So
to the point. I'm
so what we've
angry
learned
right
from
now.
this episode, audience, is that the whatever that movie, The Princess Bride, Princess Diaries, whatever
Princess
it is,
Bride?
The Princess
Princess
Bride
Bride.
is a
This
garbage
is so
film.
on purpose. Oh wow!
Ah,
Goonies is garbage. The Princess Bride is garbage, and Ghost Rider should be in a car.
Everybody,
And my
please
number
dir-
3
Please
is
direct your hate mail to Blythe.
we didn't do
and
number
not
3.
us.
It's number 4. Oh, it is
Oh.
number 3.
We're
No,
on
it's all
number
right.
3.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Shouldn't
Is it
have been
my turn or
Courtney-
is it
it's
Courtney's
Courtney's turn?
Oh, okay.
We got
Mine is-
stuck on the Ghost Rider thing. for a
Yeah,
minute.
sorry. My number 3 is the Phantom, not the
The purple one.
yes, the purple one. Mine are all
The
pulp
Billy
heroes.
Zane.
Yeah, which is actually a pretty decent movie if you watch it. It's not as bad as The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, but it's another one like The Ghost Rider. It's not as bad as you remembered it being. It's actually pretty cute.
I would love to see an Alec Baldwin, Billy Zane team up movie.
I would love to see where they team up all of they do like Endgame style, Avengers style, and they team up all the pulp heroes. But I have ideas of who I want to play everything.
But that's got to be another show all to itself.
That's a whole other show.
And casting by Courtney.
Right.
She's the new Andrea Romano. Give us your number 3 there, Blythe.
My number 3 is probably one of the most iconic mask wearers in all comic books, and that's Spider-Man.
Good choice.
Just one of those ones where he's behind the mask not only to protect himself, but just to protect the people around him, the people that he loves most. And it's like you were talking about before, Dub, that's where the honorable
Yeah.
reasons to where the masks come from, and it's one of those things where it comes from Spider-Man. And it was just such a big thing when he was first created, because he was a kid. Like, he was just a kid in high school, and that's what you do, is you want to protect those around you, because you have he had a married, or Gwen Stacy and Aunt May and Uncle Ben, or no, Uncle Ben was dead at that point, but
It depends on which universe you're discussing.
yeah, it all made
Yeah.
it's hard to keep everything straight nowadays.
But I tell you what, the masks, how they have been able to play with everything because of the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And so many cool ideas with keeping the same feel without making carbon copies.
Yeah.
And none of them feel like disrespectful to the original, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they have done such a fantastic, and honestly, that's the only character I really care about in a multiverse is Spider-Man because of that.
Yeah, he's got a fun multiverse. That makes sense. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on number 2. We've discussed him on virtually every episode we've ever done, and that will be Deadpool / Harley Quinn. Just because I haven't said her name at all.
Oh, get out of
here! Throw it in there.
Go away.
What?
Why are you bring
from?
her up for nothing? There's no mask. There's just
Well, I brought up
Oh my
Wonder
God.
Woman.
There you go.
no,
actually-
Wonder Woman's 100% more relevant than
That had nothing to do with the conversation. It's just she hasn't been brought up this episode. And
Ugh.
you know what?
Oh.
Harley Quinn equals ratings. But Deadpool, such a brilliant character from top to bottom. With the mask,
So
with the way he
funny.
does his fourth wall and he pulls it up to talk to people. I can't breathe in this thing, that kind of stuff.
The fourth wall breaks. They're so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is such a great mask character. And honestly, when I first started reading him, I didn't know that he was all jacked up looking underneath. I was like 4 or 5 comics in, oh,
That's gross underneath. That's not.
dude, that's not fun. I don't like that.
That's why he wears the mask.
He can heal everything. Why can't he heal that?
I still maintain Reynolds is just perfect casting for Deadpool.
Oh, I
'cause
don't
he's
think
literally
They'll never be a
Just-
better.
Oh,
Deadpool.
he's literally just Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
He was Deadpool when he was in Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah.
And in that abomination of Wolverine Origins.
Which they're actually making a Deadpool pop from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the
I think at this point, because it's become such a joke, people
It's funny.
will buy it. Yeah, it's funny.
I'm sure Reynolds is gonna have one. He's gonna look at me.
Yeah.
People-
Mhm.
People will buy anything. Let's be
Oh, for
completely honest.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, check out our Redbubble. Go check. Go.
Please do.
Yes, get some merch from My Heart Geek and get to wear Hal proudly. The links are in the show notes. Okay, Courtney, what is your number 2?
The Rocketeer. And I don't care if it's a helmet. You don't let helmets. That made me one more iconic piece than the Rocketeer's helmet.
Dark Helmet.
It's true.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've talked about the Rocketeer before. Everybody knows my love of the Rocketeer. So
It's aerodynamic. It all just makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a great one.
Guys?
My number 2 is Daredevil. I love how whenever they do his mask,
There's eyes.
it's not just that there's eyes, but the eyes are always, they're just covered,
Yeah.
like in Charlie Cox, the Netflix series, it's just a red dome that represents the eyes. So you don't get the feeling. That he's blind as a viewer, but you can understand that the people he's fighting and that he's doing things against wouldn't necessarily put together that he's blind, because they always put those the eye holes there, except for when he wears his ninja black mask, which I love that mask too. When he's just the full tactical black mask over his eyes.
I think they did a really good job with all of his costumes.
Yeah, his costume
in the film,
Netflix
in the
series.
TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even when he goes into the Defenders and he borrows Jessica's scarf at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Just the different iterations of the Daredevil costume through the
Although
3 seasons and through
I hate
Defenders.
yellow Daredevil, by the way. Just
Oh, yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Now, they never did really explain, though, because he gets from vibration from hearing.
Mhm.
Why was there never ear holes cut?
He doesn't need them.
I think you'd have to, because I mean,
I don't think it's not necessarily vibrations from hearing. It's just vibrations from. It's also from his sense
Now-
of touch.
Is he?
feel
Did
the-
Daredevil completely blind?
yes.
Yeah. hmm
Okay, because I think I remember in the TV show.
He was a kid.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, I think I remember in the TV show, doesn't he say I'm not? Like, I think he tells somebody
I think he
I can't
says that
see the way that you can.
yeah, because
Oh,
he
that was the
sees
Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck.
he sees
Oh.
through like sonar.
It's probably
I
why I
can-
can't remember that part. I blocked that movie
Yeah,
out.
with the rain, and then I wait.
Yeah.
Stay here so I can see you for a 2nd.
So yeah, he's
blocked that
always
movie
describes it as seeing like through sonar
Okay.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's what
'Cause-
they mean by that.
'Cause-
But yeah, no, he's completely blind from the same chemical that turns
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into what they are.
Yeah. I have to be honest, Daredevil, my experience with Daredevil is the Marvel television show.
Which is fine.
Which
I
is
think
great.
that was
Is
a
the
great
Netflix show.
representation.
Like
I
I knew of him, but I was not a huge Daredevil person. So Charlie Cox is my Daredevil.
Remind me
was
remind
such a
me?
great.
when you catch up with your
Yeah.
reading, and I have some Daredevil graphic novels you might enjoy.
Oh, awesome. I'll
But,
definitely check him
I
out.
know you're like 6 months behind in your reading, so
Oh my gosh, I am so behind. I'm reading more, so it's okay. I'm catching up.
okay. What do we got? Number 1. Yeah. Did I get everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My number 1 is going to be the man that we discussed earlier with the coolest metamorphic mask ever, and that's Rorschach. Yeah, just you know,
Nobody said V.
nobody said a lot of
Oh,
things.
that's a good one.
Forgot about him. Sorry, random.
No worries. But no, Rorschach is such a great everyman character. You know, the psychology of it aside, just if you just take him, he's a great character, and the mask is so cool with a trench coat. And I mean, he is basically
Well, and it just
he's the question before the question.
the moving is very cool.
Yeah.
The
And there's-
movie of it's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it even goes into the history of, you know, how that got invented. It doesn't mean anything unless you decide that it means something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just like the Rorschach blots. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's such a great,
Mm-hmm. Nope, that's a
basis
good
of
one.
a character.
Yeah.
Courtney, your number 1?
Side note for Rorschach, I did not enjoy the Watchmen movie, but I did really enjoy the Rorschach character. I thought the guy who plays it was very well cast as
Originally
Rorschach.
from the Bad News Bears, by the way.
Yeah, he's been on a lot of things, and it's like when I looked up who it was, because I don't think you see him but briefly without the mask.
You do for a while.
Yeah, but it just like it didn't. I'm like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, side note. My number 1, we talked about it just briefly earlier, was the Shadow. I love the Shadow. I've talked about him a lot of times on.
And I apologize for saying that earlier.
No, it's fine. It's cool. I love when the Shadow gets love. But like you said, Dub, it's the opposite. He puts the mask here, so it's under the nose to cover his mouth.
So he would be happy with the mask restrictions for today.
Exactly. He'd have to pull it over his nose because he actually wears it under his nose. So he'd have to pull it over his nose. But he would be just fine with his big fedora and it's always red. The mask is red. He wears completely black except his mask is red.
Yeah.
And it's
with
it's
the
a
collar
scarf.
pulled up.
Depends on which
Incarnation?
version.
The ones
but 'cause
that I
what
read.
it's actually a scarf is
Yeah.
what it is. It's a big long scarf because pieces of it, because there's always, he's jumping off a building and there's flying behind him. So yeah, but it makes sense because I think they mask him this way because his superpower is clouding men's minds.
Yeah, I think he has to have
So it's like so they cover the mouth because he's using his brain. I don't know.
Mhm.
It looks cool. That's all I know.
Visually, it's such a cool look.
Yeah.
It is one of those iconic looks.
Again,
Mhm.
fan casting by Courtney. I know who I'd want him to play in
Who?
a film. I don't know how to say his last name, but it's David.
Batista?
No, not Drax.
By the way,
He's in Ant-Man. He's the Russian guy.
Oh, David Cross?
No, David
No, the Russian.
Desmalachin. Well, he's got the nose already, and he doesn't have the accent. He's actually be perfect.
Hmm.
He'd be perfect for the Shadow.
Oh.
I have fan casting for
I'll
all
put
of
some
them.
thoughts into that. Okay.
I have fan casting for all of them. I know who I want to play
that's-
Jack Savage. I know who I'd want to play the Phantom. I know
There's
who I'd
one
want to play
episode later. I promise.
for the
we'll
new
do
Dick
this
Tracy in my mind.
We should do an entire
Fan
episode
cast.
on fan casting.
I
That
think
would
we
be
should.
cool. I'm into that.
If we do it
Okay.
on Pulp Heroes, I'm in.
No, I'll write that. We can do that.
Yeah.
Blythe,
do
what
it.
is your number one, sir?
My number one was mentioned in my number two, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm so glad you mentioned them because
I
I
think
completely
that
forgot about them.
As far as
Why did they need
go,
masks?
so that you can identify
Ninja?
them, not to be discriminatory versus turtles,
different
but
colors.
if you took off their masks,
You wouldn't be
would
able to
not
tell
able
which one
tell
is
which one
which.
is which. Which at the beginning when they were first introduced, they all did have the same colored mask, but I think as they grew and developed their own personalities, the masks were necessary so
Would you
that
add-
you could tell they weren't all, because when they began they were very dark and gritty and angry, but now there's the dark and gritty one, there's
I
the
like the
leader,
90s
there's the
cartoon.
smart one. Yeah, exactly. When
That's
the
what's from that
90s
line.
cartoon came out,
Or the
that's when
Henson
you
movie.
needed something to make sure that you could tell which one was which, and each one of them had their own color, and definitely easily marketed to children.
Yeah.
Are you just saying turtles, or would you add Shredder into it?
Yeah, no,
Because
for
he
sure.
has
I
that
didn't try to-
cool, like,
Yep, the metal mask.
you know
on.
who we forgot? Bane.
Who did we forget? Ooh,
No, we didn't.
The mask is cool.
Okay.
And Morton Joe from Fury Road.
yes.
Oh. And that's an episode because we can't possibly top it.
I heart good
No.
fans.
So yeah.
So yeah, listen.
So
to the
listeners,
end.
if you
Yeah.
guys have masked people that we forgot,
And we did.
make a note.
Yes.
Down below, put it in the comments, put it in the Facebook comments, hit us up on the Facebook page.
Like
We would
everywhere.
love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, we love talking to y'all. It's actually one
We
of the
do.
funner things that we get to do on the show is be
Yeah,
able to
for sure.
communicate after
That
the
and
shows
argue
y'all.
with each other.
We do that from time to time, but we all still love each other. So it's fun. So yeah, listen to the end of the episode, and you'll see where you can contact us, where to get the red bubble, everything else. And until next time, I'm Dub.
I'm Blythe.
Okay.
I'm Miss Geeky Page.
And because this never works any other way, keep on geeking on. Love y'all.
Keep on geeking on, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.